Why most people feel lost before they find their goal. There is a quiet moment that almost every young adult experiences, although few people talk about it openly. It usually happens sometime between the ages of 18 and 30. You might be sitting alone in your room late at night, scrolling through your phone, watching other people's lives unfold on social media. Someone you know just got a promotion. Someone else started a business. Another friend is traveling the world. And suddenly, a question appears in your mind. What am I doing with my life? At first, you try to ignore it. You tell yourself that you are still young. You believe there is plenty of time to figure everything out. But the question keeps coming back, sometimes quietly, sometimes loudly. What is my purpose? What should I be working toward? What kind of life do I really want? This feeling of uncertainty is more common than most people realize. In fact, it is almost a universal experience. The truth is that very few people grow up knowing exactly what they want to do with their lives. Many people believe that successful individuals always had a clear vision from the beginning, but that is rarely the case. Most meaningful goals are not discovered overnight. They are developed gradually through experiences, struggles, curiosity, and reflection. In American culture, there is a strong belief in the idea of creating your own path. From a young age, people are often told that they can become anything they want. While this message is inspiring, it also creates pressure. When everything seems possible, choosing a direction can feel overwhelming. Imagine standing in front of a road with 100 different paths. Each path promises opportunity, success, or happiness. But there is no sign telling you which one is right. Many people freeze in that moment. Instead of choosing a path and learning from the journey, they stay still. They wait for clarity. They wait for confidence. They wait for the perfect moment. But here is an important truth that most people only learn later in life. Clarity does not come before action. Clarity comes from action. In other words, you do not discover your purpose by thinking about it endlessly. You discover it by doing things, trying new experiences, failing, learning, and adjusting your direction over time. Think about some of the most successful people in the world. Many of them did not start with a perfect plan. Their goals evolved as they gained more knowledge about themselves and the world around them. This process is similar to exploring a new city without a map. At first, everything feels unfamiliar. You might take a wrong turn. You might walk down streets that lead nowhere. But with every step, you learn something new about the environment. Eventually, the city begins to make sense. Finding a life goal works the same way. The biggest mistake people make is believing that they must have everything figured out before they begin. This belief creates paralysis. It keeps people stuck in a cycle of overthinking and hesitation. Instead of asking, what is the perfect goal for my entire life? A better question might be, what is the next direction I want to explore? This small shift in perspective changes everything. It removes the pressure of perfection and replaces it with curiosity. Curiosity is one of the most powerful forces in personal growth. When you allow yourself to explore interests, develop skills, and experience different challenges, you slowly begin to understand what excites you and what does not. Over time, patterns appear. You may notice that certain activities give you energy rather than draining it. You may realize that you enjoy solving specific types of problems. You might discover that helping people, creating things, building systems, or learning complex ideas gives you a sense of meaning. These signals are clues. Your life goal is rarely a sudden revelation. It is more like a puzzle that slowly comes together through experience. Another important truth is that goals change as people grow. The person you are at 18 is not the same person you will be at 25 or 30. Your values, interests, and priorities will evolve over time. That is why flexibility is essential. A meaningful life goal is not a rigid destination. It is a direction that guides your decisions and motivates your effort. Without a goal, life can feel random. Days blend together. Work becomes routine rather than purposeful. Motivation fades because there is no clear reason to push forward. But when a person develops a goal, something powerful happens. Their energy becomes focused. Their decisions become clearer. Their actions begin to align with a bigger vision. A goal does not guarantee success, but it provides direction. And direction is what transforms effort into progress. For many young adults in the United States, the search for purpose begins with self-awareness. It begins by asking deeper questions about identity, values, and aspirations. Who do I want to become? What kind of impact do I want to have on the world? What kind of life would make me proud 20 years from now? These questions may not produce immediate answers, but they start an important process. The process of discovering a meaningful life goal is not about rushing toward a single decision. It is about gradually building clarity through exploration and reflection. And once that clarity begins to form, the next challenge becomes learning how to transform that vision into a real and achievable goal. That is where the journey truly begins. The psychology behind motivation and purpose. Before someone can truly discover a meaningful goal in life, they must understand something deeper than ambition. They must understand motivation. Motivation is the invisible force that determines whether a person continues moving forward or slowly drifts into a routine that feels empty. Many people believe motivation comes from excitement. They think that once they find the right dream, they will wake up every morning feeling inspired and ready to conquer the world. But real life rarely works that way. Motivation is not a permanent emotional state. It rises and falls like the weather. Some days you feel energized and confident. Other days you feel tired, uncertain, or even discouraged. This is why relying only on motivation can be dangerous. If you only act when you feel inspired, your progress will always be inconsistent. Purpose, however, works differently. Purpose is deeper than motivation. It is the reason behind your effort. While motivation can disappear on difficult days, purpose tends to stay. It quietly reminds you why your work matters even when you feel exhausted. Imagine two people waking up early every morning. The first person wakes up because they feel pressure. They go to work simply because they need to pay bills or meet expectations from others. Their energy comes from obligation. The second person wakes up for a different reason. They are building something that matters to them. Maybe they are developing a skill they love. Maybe they are working toward a dream that excites them. Maybe they want to create a better life for their future family. Both people may perform similar tasks every day, but their internal experience is completely different. One feels trapped. The other feels driven. The difference is purpose. In American culture, purpose is often connected to personal responsibility and individual freedom. People are encouraged to design their own lives rather than simply follow a predetermined path. This idea is powerful, but it also means that individuals must take ownership of their direction. No one else can fully define your purpose for you. Teachers can offer guidance. Parents can provide advice. Friends can share their opinions. But at the end of the day, the decision about what matters most in your life must come from within. This realization can feel intimidating at first. Many young adults look around and assume everyone else has already figured everything out. They believe they are the only ones who feel uncertain. But the truth is that most people are still exploring their direction long after their 20s. Even individuals who appear confident and successful often adjust their goals as they gain new experiences. Purpose is not something you suddenly find, like a hidden treasure. It is something you build gradually. One of the most important psychological principles behind finding purpose is self-awareness. Self-awareness means understanding your values, your strengths, your weaknesses, and the activities that give your life meaning. Without self-awareness, people often chase goals that do not truly belong to them. For example, someone might pursue a career because it promises money or social status. At first, this may feel rewarding. But over time, if the work does not align with their deeper values, dissatisfaction begins to grow. This is why some people reach traditional definitions of success, yet still feel unfulfilled. External success does not automatically create internal meaning. A meaningful goal must connect with who you are as a person. It must reflect your interests, your beliefs, and your vision for the future. Another psychological factor that shapes purpose is curiosity. Curiosity is the desire to explore ideas, skills, and experiences. It encourages people to ask questions and seek knowledge. Curiosity is often the first signal that a potential goal might exist. Think about the activities that naturally attract your attention. What topics do you enjoy learning about? What kinds of problems do you enjoy solving? What type of work makes you lose track of time? These small clues can reveal a lot about where your interests lie. For many people, purpose begins with curiosity and develops into commitment. A person might start by casually exploring an interest. Over time, they develop skills, build confidence, and realize that the activity provides a sense of meaning. Eventually, what began as curiosity becomes a serious goal. Another important concept in the psychology of purpose is growth mindset. A growth mindset is the belief that abilities can be developed through effort and learning. People with this mindset view challenges as opportunities rather than threats. This mindset is essential when pursuing meaningful goals because the journey toward purpose is rarely easy. There will be obstacles. There will be mistakes. There will be moments when progress feels slow or uncertain. Without a growth mindset, these moments can feel like proof that you are not capable. But with a growth mindset, they become part of the learning process. Instead of asking, "What if I fail?" people begin asking, "What can I learn from this experience?" This shift transforms the entire journey. Rather than waiting for perfect confidence, individuals begin taking action despite uncertainty. They experiment with different paths, build new skills, and gradually refine their direction. Over time, confidence grows from evidence rather than imagination. Another key element in motivation is progress. Human beings feel energized when they see signs of improvement. Even small victories can create momentum. This is why long-term goals should always be supported by smaller milestones. A person who dreams of becoming a writer does not start by publishing a best-selling book. They start by writing a few pages each day. Someone who wants to build a successful business does not begin with a global company. They start by solving a single problem for a small group of people. Step by step, progress builds confidence. Confidence strengthens commitment. Commitment fuels long-term motivation. Purpose is not created by one dramatic decision. It is built through thousands of small actions repeated consistently over time. When a person begins to experience progress in an area that aligns with their interests and values, something powerful happens. Work starts to feel meaningful rather than forced. And that feeling is often the first real sign that a life goal is beginning to take shape. Practical steps to discover your life goal. Once a person begins to understand the psychology behind motivation and purpose, the next question naturally appears. How do you actually discover your life goal? While the idea of purpose may sound philosophical, the process of finding direction in life is often practical and gradual. The first step is learning how to slow down and observe your own life. In a world filled with constant noise, social media, and endless distractions, many people rarely take time to reflect on their inner thoughts. They move from one activity to another without asking deeper questions about what truly matters to them. Reflection is essential because purpose grows out of self-awareness. If you do not understand your values, interests, and motivations, it becomes very difficult to identify a meaningful direction. One helpful exercise is to imagine your future self. Picture yourself 10 or 20 years from now. What kind of person do you hope to become? Do you want to be someone known for creativity, leadership, knowledge, kindness, or innovation? Visualizing the future can reveal hidden priorities that may not appear in everyday routines. Another powerful method for discovering a goal is exploring your natural curiosity. Curiosity often reveals the areas where your mind naturally wants to grow. Think about the topics that capture your attention even when nobody asks you to study them. Perhaps you enjoy learning about technology, psychology, business, art, science, or fitness. The subjects that repeatedly attract your interest can point toward possible directions for your life. Exploration is extremely important during the early stages of adulthood. Many young people feel pressured to choose a single path immediately after high school or college. However, personal development rarely follows a straight line. Trying different experiences can be one of the most valuable parts of discovering a meaningful goal. For example, a person might start by taking a job simply to gain experience. During that process, they may discover new skills they never knew they had. Someone working in marketing might realize they enjoy storytelling and communication. Another person working in technology might discover a passion for solving complex problems. These discoveries rarely happen through thinking alone. They happen through action. Taking action, even when you feel uncertain, creates valuable feedback. Every experience teaches you something about what you enjoy and what you do not enjoy. Over time, these lessons help you narrow your focus. Another useful step is identifying the problems you care about solving. Many meaningful goals are connected to solving real problems in the world. Some people want to improve education. Others want to develop new technology, support mental health, protect the environment, or help communities grow stronger. When a goal connects to a problem that matters to you personally, your motivation becomes much stronger. Instead of working only for money or recognition, you begin working because you believe your effort has value. A practical way to explore this idea is to ask yourself 3 simple questions. What problems in the world make you curious or concerned? What skills do you currently have or want to develop? How could those skills help solve the problems you care about? The intersection of these answers can reveal powerful directions for your life. Another step in discovering your goal is developing discipline and consistency. While passion is important, passion alone rarely creates long-term success. Meaningful goals require sustained effort. The willingness to practice, learn, and improve over time separates serious ambition from temporary excitement. Many successful individuals emphasize the importance of daily habits. Small actions repeated consistently often lead to significant results over time. Writing a few pages every day can eventually produce a book. Practicing a skill regularly can lead to mastery. Studying new ideas consistently can lead to innovation. These habits create momentum. Momentum builds confidence, and confidence helps individuals commit more deeply to their goals. Mentorship can also play an important role in discovering life direction. Learning from people who have more experience can provide valuable perspective. A mentor may offer advice, share lessons from their own journey, or help you avoid common mistakes. However, mentorship works best when combined with personal initiative. No mentor can replace your own effort and curiosity. Their role is to guide, not to decide your path for you. Another important aspect of finding a goal is accepting uncertainty. Many people hesitate to pursue meaningful goals because they fear making the wrong choice. They believe that selecting one direction will permanently close other opportunities. In reality, life rarely works that way. Skills, knowledge, and experience often transfer between different areas. A person who learns communication skills in one field may later apply those same skills in another career. Someone who develops discipline through sports may later use that discipline in business or creative work. Rather than viewing decisions as permanent traps, it can be more helpful to see them as experiments. Each experiment provides information that moves you closer to clarity. Finally, discovering a meaningful life goal requires patience. The process may take years rather than months. Many individuals only begin to understand their true direction after experiencing several different stages of life. What matters most is not speed, but progress. If you continue learning, exploring, and improving, your understanding of yourself will gradually become clearer. Eventually, a direction begins to emerge. At that point, the next challenge becomes transforming that direction into a structured plan for the future. And that is where the next stage of the journey begins, turning your goal into a clear life plan. Once a person begins to discover a meaningful direction in life, the next important step is turning that direction into a practical plan. Many people experience a moment of clarity when they realize what kind of life they want to build. However, clarity alone is not enough. Without structure and consistent action, even the most powerful vision can slowly fade. A goal becomes truly meaningful when it is connected to daily behavior. In other words, a dream only begins to transform into reality when it influences the way you spend your time, energy, and attention. One of the most effective ways to turn a goal into a life plan is by breaking it down into smaller, achievable steps. Large ambitions often feel overwhelming when viewed all at once. For example, someone who wants to build a successful career might imagine a distant future filled with recognition, financial stability, and personal satisfaction. While that vision can be inspiring, it can also feel distant and abstract. Progress becomes much clearer when that vision is divided into stages. The first stage often focuses on learning. Every meaningful goal requires knowledge and skill. A person who dreams of becoming an entrepreneur must learn how businesses operate. Someone who hopes to become a writer must practice storytelling and communication. An individual who wants to become a scientist must dedicate time to studying complex ideas. Learning is not limited to classrooms or formal education. In modern American culture, many people build their skills through books, online courses, podcasts, mentorship, and hands-on experience. The willingness to continuously learn is one of the strongest predictors of long-term success. The second stage involves practice and experimentation. Knowledge alone is not enough. Skills grow through repetition, mistakes, and improvement. During this stage, individuals begin applying what they have learned in real situations. A young designer may start creating small projects. An aspiring entrepreneur might launch a small online store. Someone interested in filmmaking might begin producing simple videos with limited resources. These early experiments may not be perfect, but they provide valuable feedback. Feedback is essential because it helps refine direction. When you try something in the real world, you learn what works and what is not. Over time, this process strengthens your abilities and increases your confidence. Another important element of building a life plan is time management. Time is one of the most valuable resources any person has. Unlike money or possessions, time cannot be replaced once it passes. This is why successful individuals often become very intentional about how they spend their hours. Instead of allowing days to pass without structure, they begin organizing their schedules around their priorities. This does not mean eliminating rest or enjoyment. Rather, it means aligning daily activities with long-term goals. For example, someone who wants to become physically healthier may dedicate a portion of their day to exercise. A person working toward financial independence may set aside time to develop additional skills or build side projects. Over months and years, these small commitments compound into meaningful results. Consistency is often more important than intensity. Many people start new goals with strong enthusiasm, but quickly lose momentum. They attempt dramatic changes that are difficult to maintain. A more sustainable approach involves small, repeatable actions. Writing one page every day may seem insignificant at first, but over the course of a year, it becomes hundreds of pages. Practicing a skill for 30 minutes daily may seem modest, yet over several years it can lead to mastery. Another critical component of a life plan is resilience. Every long-term journey includes obstacles, unexpected setbacks, and moments of doubt. Projects may fail. Opportunities may disappear. Plans may need to change. Resilience is the ability to continue moving forward despite these challenges. It does not mean ignoring difficulties. Instead, it means adapting and learning from them. In American culture, resilience is often closely tied to the idea of perseverance. Many successful individuals emphasize that failure is not the opposite of success, but rather a necessary part of the journey toward it. Each failure contains information that can guide future decisions. When a person develops resilience, they begin to see obstacles differently. Instead of interpreting setbacks as personal limitations, they treat them as lessons. This perspective helps maintain motivation even during difficult periods. Another powerful strategy for maintaining direction is surrounding yourself with supportive environments. The people you spend time with can influence your mindset, habits, and expectations. Being around individuals who value growth, curiosity, and discipline can reinforce your own commitment to improvement. This does not mean abandoning old friendships. However, it does mean intentionally seeking communities where your goals are understood and encouraged. Technology has made this easier than ever before. Online communities, professional networks, and educational platforms allow people to connect with mentors and peers who share similar interests. These connections can provide inspiration, accountability, and practical guidance. Finally, an effective life plan requires periodic reflection. Goals should not remain static forever. As individuals grow, their priorities and understanding of the world may change. Taking time to evaluate progress helps ensure that your direction still aligns with your values. Reflection allows you to adjust strategies, celebrate achievements, and identify areas for improvement. This ongoing process keeps your life plan flexible rather than rigid. When a person consistently learns, practices, adapts, and reflects, their goal gradually transforms from a distant dream into a structured path. And once that path becomes clear, the final challenge emerges: staying committed to the journey for years, sometimes decades, while continuing to grow and evolve along the way. That is where the final stage of the journey begins. The long journey of discipline, failure, and meaningful success. Finding a goal in life is not the end of the journey. In many ways, it is only the beginning. Once a person discovers a direction and begins building a plan, the real challenge begins: staying committed over time. Life is not a straight path. It is full of unexpected turns, difficult moments, and periods where progress seems invisible. Many people believe success happens quickly, but in reality, meaningful success almost always takes years of consistent effort. This is where discipline becomes essential. Discipline is the ability to continue moving forward even when motivation fades. Motivation is powerful, but it is often temporary. Discipline, on the other hand, is what keeps a person working toward their goal long after the excitement of the beginning disappears. For young adults between the ages of 18 and 30, this stage of life is often filled with uncertainty. People are exploring careers, relationships, education, and identity all at the same time. It can feel overwhelming to decide what direction to follow. However, this period is also one of the most powerful times for personal growth. One important realization many successful people share is that progress does not always look dramatic. In fact, most of the work that leads to meaningful success happens quietly. It happens when no one is watching. It happens during late nights of studying, early mornings of practice, and long periods of persistence when results are not immediately visible. This quiet progress is sometimes called the invisible phase. During this phase, a person may feel like they are putting in a great deal of effort without seeing major changes in their life. This can be frustrating, and many people give up during this period because they assume their efforts are not working. But the truth is that growth often happens beneath the surface before it becomes visible. Just like a tree spends years developing strong roots before it grows tall, individuals spend long periods building skills, knowledge, and character before success becomes noticeable. Another important aspect of long-term success is learning how to respond to failure. Failure is not a rare event in life. It is a normal and necessary part of progress. Every person who pursues meaningful goals experiences setbacks. Projects fail, opportunities disappear, and sometimes mistakes lead to disappointing results. The difference between those who eventually succeed and those who stop trying often comes down to perspective. Some people see failure as evidence that they are not capable. Others see failure as information that helps them improve. In American culture, many entrepreneurs, athletes, and creators openly discuss the role failure played in their success. They often describe failure not as the end of the journey, but as a teacher. Each mistake reveals something valuable about what needs to change. This mindset transforms failure from something to avoid into something that helps refine a person's path. Another critical element of staying committed to a goal is maintaining a sense of meaning. Goals that are purely based on external rewards, such as money, status, or recognition, can lose their power over time. While these rewards may provide short-term motivation, they rarely create lasting fulfillment. Goals that are connected to personal values tend to create deeper satisfaction. For example, someone who becomes a teacher because they believe in helping others learn may find long-term purpose in their work. An entrepreneur who builds a company to solve meaningful problems may feel energized by the impact they create. When a goal is connected to something larger than personal gain, it often becomes easier to remain committed during difficult periods. Over time, individuals who pursue meaningful goals begin to notice another important transformation. Their identity changes. At the beginning of the journey, they may simply be someone who is trying something new. But after years of consistent effort, they begin to see themselves differently. A person who writes regularly begins to think of themselves as a writer. Someone who studies business and builds projects starts to see themselves as an entrepreneur. A person who dedicates years to learning begins to develop the identity of a lifelong learner. Identity is powerful because it influences behavior. When someone truly believes they are the kind of person who grows, learns, and perseveres, they naturally make decisions that align with that belief. Another important lesson that emerges over time is the value of patience. Modern culture often emphasizes speed and instant results. Social media can make success appear immediate, as if some people suddenly achieve wealth, recognition, or influence overnight. However, most meaningful achievements take far longer than they appear from the outside. Behind every visible success story are usually years of preparation, struggle, and persistence. Understanding this reality helps people avoid unrealistic expectations. Instead of becoming discouraged by slow progress, they begin to see time as an ally rather than an enemy. Finally, one of the most meaningful discoveries people make on this journey is that success itself is not the most valuable outcome. While achieving goals can bring satisfaction, the most important transformation often happens within the individual. Through years of discipline, effort, and learning, people develop confidence, resilience, and self-awareness. They learn how to navigate challenges, how to adapt to change, and how to continue growing even when circumstances shift. In other words, the journey toward a goal shapes the person who is pursuing it. And when people reach a point where they look back at the path they have traveled, they often realize something surprising. The goal that once seemed so important was only part of the story. The real achievement was becoming someone capable of pursuing meaningful goals in the first place. Life is not about finding a single destination and stopping there. It is about continuously learning, evolving, and discovering new directions as you grow. The search for purpose, discipline, and growth is not a temporary phase of life. It is a lifelong journey. And for those who are willing to stay curious, stay disciplined, and continue moving forward, that journey can become one of the most meaningful experiences a person will ever have. Final reflection: a call to begin your journey. Now that we have explored the importance of goals, the process of discovering direction, the role of motivation, and the discipline required to stay committed, one final question remains. What will you do next? This question may sound simple, but it is one of the most powerful questions a person can ask themselves. Information alone does not change a life. Inspiration alone does not change a life. Real transformation begins at the moment when someone decides to act. Right now, somewhere in the world, there are people who feel exactly the way you might feel at this moment. Some feel lost. Some feel uncertain about their future. Some feel like they are capable of more, but are not sure where to begin. The truth is that nearly every successful person once stood at that exact same starting point. They were not born with perfect clarity. They were not given a guaranteed path. They did not wake up one day with every answer already figured out. Instead, they began the same way every meaningful journey begins, with a decision to try, a decision to grow, a decision to stop drifting and start moving forward with purpose. The good news is that you do not need to have your entire life planned out today. Many people believe that in order to begin, they must first know exactly what their final destination looks like. But life rarely works that way. Clarity often appears after action, not before it. When you take the first step toward learning something new, your perspective expands. When you attempt a project, you discover strengths you did not know you had. When you challenge yourself, you begin to understand what truly matters to you. Each step reveals the next step. And over time, what once felt like confusion begins to transform into direction. However, this transformation requires courage. It requires the willingness to take responsibility for your own future rather than waiting for circumstances to change. No one else can decide your path for you. Friends can support you. Mentors can guide you. Teachers can share knowledge. But the decision to move forward must come from within. That is why moments like this are important. Moments when you pause and ask yourself difficult questions. What kind of life do I want to build? What kind of person do I want to become? What impact do I want my work to have on the world? These questions do not always have immediate answers, and that is perfectly normal. What matters most is that you begin exploring them. Life is not a race against other people. It is a personal journey of growth and discovery. Some individuals find their direction early in life. Others explore multiple paths before discovering what truly resonates with them. Neither path is wrong. What matters is that you remain curious and open to learning. Remember that progress rarely happens in dramatic leaps. Most meaningful change happens through small actions repeated over long periods of time. Reading one chapter of a book each day may seem insignificant, but over a year it becomes dozens of books. Practicing a skill for 30 minutes a day may seem modest, but over several years it can transform into expertise. The power of consistent action is extraordinary. Many people underestimate how much their lives can change in 2, 5, or 10 years simply by committing to steady improvement. Imagine who you could become if you dedicated yourself to learning, growing, and building something meaningful over the next decade. Imagine the skills you could develop, the people you could help, and the opportunities you could create. The future is not something that simply happens to you. In many ways, it is something you actively shape through your choices. Every day presents a new opportunity to move slightly closer to the life you want. Some days will feel exciting and full of possibility. Other days may feel slow, uncertain, or challenging, but each day still carries potential. And the people who ultimately build meaningful lives are not the ones who never face difficulty. They are the ones who continue moving forward despite it. So if you are watching this and wondering whether change is possible for you, the answer is yes. Not because the path will be easy, but because human beings are capable of incredible growth when they choose to pursue it. Your past does not define your future. Your current circumstances do not limit your potential. What matters most is what you choose to do starting today. Start learning. Start building. Start experimenting with new ideas. Start developing the habits that move your life in the direction you want. You do not have to change everything overnight. Just take the first step, and then take the next one. Over time, those small steps can lead you further than you ever imagined. One day, you may look back on this moment and realize that it was the beginning of a new chapter in your life. A chapter defined not by confusion or hesitation, but by purpose, growth, and determination. Your journey does not start when everything becomes clear. Your journey starts the moment you decide to move forward. And that moment can be right now.